stinging insect petting zoo is an idea that I had for a business. What do I need to do to refine that business to be competitive with Shark Tank? Or better
Well,
than Shark Tank?
if it's the murder bee, you can't do that. Somebody just pitched it.
Murder hornet.
The murder hornet. Well, I don't care what bee it is, it's already the same. So is it lethal or is it just a bite?
It's just stinging. It's not.
John, I wish I could say that is the most outlandish idea that I've heard in the 4 or 5 years that I've been helping with this event, but it's not. It's the idea is.
Tornado.
Yeah, it's if you got a business plan and you got ambition, you can get anything done.
Welcome to the Greencastle Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Kleck. Today's episode, we have Alex Archawski and Joe Crandall, the two guys working behind the scenes to take the veteran Shark Tank pitch competition. You've probably seen it. You've probably seen us promote it before. But the veteran Shark Tank pitch competition, taking that from what used to be a relatively small local competition to now working on a national stage, bringing in veteran entrepreneurs from all over the country to come and compete for some big prize money, to be a part of the network, to be a part of the alumni that then carries on these veteran entrepreneurs. There have been some past contestants in the veteran Shark Tank that have gone on to do great things. So whether you are a veteran entrepreneur who's looking for some help with your business, or whether you're a business owner, maybe you're working for and you're looking for an opportunity to sponsor a business that's doing great things out there in the veteran advocacy space, you'll want to pay attention. It's a great show.
This individuality stuff is a bunch of crap.
There's a reason why.
A master of innovation.
The key to this growing is you.
Any rational person would give up.
I can't disagree with that.
Make sure that we're not prisoners of our own experiences.
You need a team of great people.
Will not tolerate a loser.
What they need is a common vision.
Helping organizations win one veteran at a time. This is the Greencastle Podcast.
All right, Joe and Alex, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, John. It's a pleasure.
It is a pleasure to have you guys. It is a pleasure. And after the end of this, I'll ask you if that still holds true. Hey, so we want to talk veteran Shark Tank today. Obviously, veteran Shark Tank has grown exponentially. This year coming up, 2020, is going to be the 8th annual veteran Shark Tank. Joe or Alex, I'll tee it up to either one of you guys. Just kind of walk us through, for folks that are tuning in and going, hey, what's this veteran Shark Tank? I heard it's a great pitch competition. Just walk us through kind of a quick synopsis of what it is.
Go for it, Alex.
Joe, I'm going to defer to you.
Oh, come on. I thought for sure you would be able to. All right. So what it is, it's the national level event. It is the Olympics of veteran pitch competitions. This is the penultimate of the opportunity for a veteran entrepreneur to come and pitch in front of 5 judges from across the country in Philadelphia, in front of an audience of 200 to 300 people, and win a cash prize. And you were a contestant, so you understand the process and how things work. And we've had.
I know that I didn't win, so I don't know if I can speak.
Well, John, you were pitching a hair care product, and you have no hair. No, just kidding. No,
Alex and I take offense to that, right? I'm speaking for you, Alex.
Well, just you, not me.
Alex has it. He just chooses not to.
Yeah.
No, so it's a great pitch competition where veterans from all over the country get a chance to come and pitch their ideas. It could be a product, it could be just an idea, it could be a platform, and it's been wildly successful. Some of our winners have gone on and had national platforms like NeuroFlow and JDog, and then some of the other contestants have had. Well, JDog didn't win actually, so. Sorry about that, Jerry. But some of our other contestants, like JDog, had seen wild success with their businesses, and so it's a good event just for veterans to get their message out there and to share what they're trying to do with their businesses.
So actually, I want to bring that up for a second because you said, well, JDog, junk hauling, they did not win, but they have been wildly successful. And right. Every year over the last 7, now moving into 8, over the last 7 years, you've had contestants come on, right, that have not won, that have gone on to do incredible things. So just is that a reflection of the screening process to bring on really competitive? And is that what we're saying? That it's really competitive. So if you don't win, you're still, I mean, you're one of 5 contestants that really has demonstrated some exceptional potential in your business. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, Alex, you want to take that one or?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the most part is there's no science behind the formula, but I think what makes this, as Joe alluded to, kind of the elite of all programs is the way that we capture the 5 candidates, and the way it started as well a long time ago in 2012. It seems like just centuries ago. But the formula is we want to make sure that people are vested in their business and not just created a business. So there is a lot of formula of how we want to judge people, and we've been getting better at it each year. We've had some volunteers with us that are really, really helping us. This is a whole team approach about how to really screen the candidates, get the best ones. And the formula has been that we want the all shucks company all the way to that is an amazing idea company. And we want to blend in to make sure it's a great formula of success, not just for the candidates, but also for the show. So, I mean, I think you John, you've heard me, and Joe knows this, is we are a veteran pitch competition, but we're in the entertainment industry as well.
And we are entertaining. I mean, get the 2 of us on stage and you got yourself a comedy show.
It is. And there's so much behind this that everybody looks at it to think, unless you experience it, and that's just the way it really is. Unless you experience it, it just looks the same. But it's really the journey of being part of it, an alumni of the candidates. We're doing a lot more with the alumni, and it's what they take advantage of. So one of the keys there of being the 5 candidates is to develop a network and relationships for life. That really can't be done sometimes with others. And with ours, we're creating those relationships, moving those relationships, and the network and the services that they can have. So it could be the winner that's the most successful. It could be the other candidates that's most successful.
There was a promo video that was done for, and I want to come back because you mentioned a couple of things. You said there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and there's a lot that goes into the selection process. Yep. I know when I was a contestant, I went through the qualifier in Philadelphia, and I think I competed against, I think it was 41 other contestants. So I knew that going up to the finals for the final competition, that if everyone else had gone through a similar screening process, that I was going up against some of the best qualified entrepreneurs, startups, or existing businesses in the country, so that I really had to bring my A game. And that proved true when I got up there and pitched against some other exceptional businesses. But I want to walk backwards for a second, just to talk about just veteran entrepreneurs in general. So for folks that are tuning into this going, all right, why is this different from any other competition? What is it about veteran entrepreneurs? And I'll say I was watching a video, one of the promo videos, and Carol Eggert, who's one of the senior staff at Comcast, one of the big sponsors for Veteran Shark Tank, she was talking about how veterans are uniquely poised to succeed just because of their background. And I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on why have you seen such tremendous success with the contestants that have come on, even if they didn't win? What uniquely poises veterans to be good entrepreneurs?
Well, John, I think all of us on the phone are entrepreneurs, right? So, yourself, you got Concierge, you got Stronghold, Alex, he's got Sales Evolution, I have Greencastle. Even though we may not have either started those businesses or grown them from scratch, we're still entrepreneurs in the fact that we own and run our own businesses. And I think veterans are uniquely suited for running businesses because the stuff that's thrown at you on a daily basis is just stuff that veterans are used to dealing with at all points in their career. Like you could show up to work on a Monday as either a Navy SEAL or as a combat swimmer or as a rescue swimmer or whatever, and your whole week is shot because this one instance pops up, and now you have to go into crisis action planning and just take care of it. And by the time you get through it, your week's shot. and you might have had plans to create a marketing plan or to do a podcast or do these things, and it's like, all right, now I just got to readjust. And I think veterans are great at that because no matter how much time they spent in the military, they've readjusted thousands and thousands of times, and it just becomes another thing. Think of COVID. We woke up one day and it was all of a sudden businesses were shut down and everybody had to wear masks. Okay, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, to layer on top of that, I mean, just excellent points. What Joe said is, I think when you're built in the military, and I mean, you guys have, exclusive training for what you guys do to the highest degree, and then everybody else has the minor flavor of that. But it's all, if you think about the words of process improvement, is the military kind of trains you of not living in the world of just normalcy. You want to get better. They help you get better, and they teach you to get better, and then you want to get better over time. So you're always looking to be better, and that's why I always say the military is the best training platform, because they're always teaching you, and you're teaching your replacement, basically. Yeah. That's literally how the organization's set up. So in reality is you're looking to get things better. And sometimes better means you're leading people, you're growing a company, or you're owning a company and getting better. So alignment is you welcome the challenge because you've been through it of making things better. And some are good at it with products, some are good at it with human capital. But I think one of the major skills that we learned at a young age in the military is we can't do it all. So understanding teams, understanding outsourcing, delegating, learning how to do that, trials and errors, is we've been bull rushed at a young age to adapt to those skills. And we just figured out that those are the skills we have. We don't even realize it. And then finally we're like, oh yeah, well, that sounds like what I did when I was in my 20s or 18 or 19 or 20.
That's a great point. Yep.
So it's unconscious, which is basically the aspect of, I hate to use the word what makes us better. It's just that we are just blessed to be in circumstances at a young age to learn everything, and the military teaches us to sit down, listen, and be better.
That's a great point. Not to cut you off, John, but that's a great point. You and I were actually talking about that earlier this week. Is some of the things that we do just inherently as veterans, like Alex said, doesn't make us better. It's just stuff we do. It's like, what do you mean you're not communicating with your team after a crisis or doing these different things? That's just normal business operations. And I think that is in some ways long and hard fought battles that you find in the civilian community where they don't learn that necessarily as quickly as somebody that is thrust into that when they're in their 20s.
And one thing to layer on top of this, if you do a poll of being in a risk situation at a young age, and you look at college students, you look at the military, you'll find that the most people that put themselves at risk, it doesn't matter what it is, through the challenging times, and they went through it, were in the military. So when you get out and you want to own a business, you know that you have that DNA of being able to go through risk. You financially, you have a family, you have debt.
Yep,
you
all that.
Can kind of embrace that. And again, it's not saying the better, it's just that we are, we ask for it.
We handle chaos a lot better than the average bear, right?
So
yeah. What the world? Go ahead.
I was going to say, so we can see that that veteran entrepreneurs are maybe positioned better to go into entrepreneurship in general. And I want to come back to what you guys were bringing up. But I'm thinking if for veteran entrepreneurs, and there's a lot of them out there. For veteran entrepreneurs that are looking at the veteran Shark Tank, and so can you give us a quick down and dirty on the process to apply? Where do we find it? Where do we get on?
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so it's veteransharktank.com. We're in the process of updating the website for this coming season. So there's great information on there about the event, about sponsorship and that kind of stuff. You won't see a lot on there about the candidates just because we're getting ready to turn that on for a big summer push. And just to give you a high level of what's required, 50% ownership of a business. You have to be able to prove that you're a veteran with a DD-214, and you have to be in business less than 3 years. And so there's other requirements as well, but those are the high-level ones. and we're trying to streamline the process this year by having people provide a 2 to 3 minute video of them in front of the camera talking about their business and their business plan and that kind of stuff, and then also giving them a standardized business plan to fill out or to plug in their numbers and that kind of stuff. Only a couple pages. We're not talking like a 35-page thing. This is just enough for us to get to know their business and that they actually have a grasp of some of the basic concepts of running a business. And then our team will, we have a great volunteer team with Justin Nadil and Sean Danowski and a few others that will review those. And then from there, we're changing it up a little bit just to make sure that the process is consistent for everybody that goes through it. And we'll do a selection process, and then the top 20 out of everybody that we review will go to a virtual event, and they'll have time to present. Just like if they were doing it in the finals, they'll present their idea. The judges will have time to ask questions, and then we move on to the next. And out of that, we'll find our 5 finalists who will come to Philly on December 7th.
But this is and so and Alex, you and I had a conversation just a little ways back where this is a national competition, right? We're doing this past year we had regional qualifiers all over the country, but this is just to be clear, the finals are held in Philly, but this is a national competition pulling from veterans all over the country, right? And we brought in veterans or Veteran Shark Tank actually paid for it to fly in the veteran to compete in the finals to win. And I'll go into the prize in a second, but this is a national competition. You have to be just a veteran living in the States or just a veteran period. And
yeah, so just to answer a couple of the questions that you had in there, I want to finalize what Joe said about the candidate. For us, the candidate experience is the biggest thing that we take pride in making sure everybody understands fluidly how to get to the finals, learns towards the end, everything that you saw, right? We take great pride in that just to make sure it's pretty fluid. That's the staple of our growth. The other part is we are understanding now the importance of owning your own brand. And owning your own brand has been a noise that's been going on for a couple of years, which more veterans are feeling comfortable. You can create a business or you can own your own brand. And what happens is there's terms I like to use, which is differentiating and distinguishing. So if people come in to differentiate their business, that means it's sideways. Doesn't mean that they're different. I mean, they're different, but they're not better. So if you distinguish your company better than everybody else, you're more likely to make it to the final 5. And that's the key that we're looking for people is they got to understand it doesn't matter that you own a company. It doesn't matter that you're going to solve world peace. It doesn't matter. It's a great product. You got to blend it all in. We're not going to give out the secret sauce, but we're just dropping hints that just because you have an excellent business plan, you went to Harvard and you went to MIT and you're special forces, there's a lot that goes into this. So, just remember, and then this is all for us just to kind of making sure we get every candidate to get excited, but so they understand as well. And we're going to be announcing it on one of the most patriotic days of our country on July 4th. We're going to be launching the candidate experience.
Yep, I forgot about that part.
So candidate applications open up July 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, John, one of the things that Alex hit upon is that not only is this a veteran pitch competition and there is a grand prize and people can use that money to grow and build their business, but it's a show. 300 people are not coming to watch a boring person on stage read slides. And you're a great example of what we were looking for, somebody that has a business that's differentiated themselves or distinguished themselves from other businesses in probably a pretty crowded market, and then also is on stage and can present themselves well, answer questions from the judges. I mean, it's pretty intimidating when you're on stage and you got 300 people looking at you, and David Robinson, NBA star, Naval Academy grad, runs a multi-million-dollar venture company, is asking you questions about your business. And then you have some other these other folks up there that are business professionals and successful at what they do, asking you questions, and they're asking you some tough questions. Some of them are softball, but some of them are very pointed, and that is where the competition is won or lost. And I can tell you, in the past few years, you can tell on stage when the contestant loses the competition because they answer one of those pitch questions wrong, and it's like, oh, you just feel it in your gut. You're just like, oh damn. And they're gonna go back, and if there's video, they'll look at it and they're gonna be like, yep. And the more pitch competitions they can do before they get to this event, look at them as trial runs. And the most successful people like James Rowland from Cowboy Crickets, he had done a few, and so he was well versed. He knew how to answer the softball as well as the curveball questions. And he didn't win because he was more savvy. He won because he had a great product and he differentiated himself and distinguished himself differently from his competitors.
One of the things, John, I wanted to love this because we talk about it this each year, and getting excited about it is we these candidates that come up of how they win is basically the how they answer the questions, and how they answer their questions, we can tell how good they are.
Right.
So, for example, I'll give you the example for Cowboy Cricket. Right. So I don't know if it was Mark Rockefeller or Jerry Flanagan or somebody that asked them and said, hey, so how are you going to get people to eat crickets? It's a great question. How are you going to get people to eat crickets? So he said, well,
if I can, real quick, Cowboy Crickets was a competitor, veteran-owned business. 2 years ago, we happened to be, my wife and I were at the competition. Yeah. And he is a guy who farms and then flavors crickets. And his whole thing was crickets are a cheap and better source of protein pound for pound than meat, and you can economically farm them and everything like that. And we'll put up a link.
You paid attention.
I did.
See, he did a good job.
Wow, that was better than I remembered. I just remembered and where he's from.
We ate his crickets after the show. He had samples. We ate it. But as an example, and I want to come back to what you had to say, but I think one of the themes that we've talked about so far is I pitched a virtual hair salon app. We had a guy pitching crickets. There was another active shooter detection service. So there is no one theme amongst the winners or even the competitors, the people who make it to the finals. It's everything from crickets, farming crickets as a source of protein, to stopping active shooters, to everything in between.
We've had guys with drones, using drones to check fences on ranches that are hundreds of acres instead of walking it. They have drone. I mean, we had the Go Hunt guys that were the Airbnb of hunting. I mean, it's just
So a great one. So if you think about kind of it's a surprise for everybody. Nobody knows the 5 finalists, and the 5 finalists have no idea what the evening is. They give we give them a rundown, of course, months ahead of time, but when they arrive visually to understand what's going on. So it's lights, camera, action, basically, right? It's kind of like could be its own reality show. So in to finish the Cowboy Crickets, and I want to give you another example too. Cowboy Crickets, he basically said with a show of hands, he told the audience, asked the audience to a rebuttal of the question, with a show of hands, how many people eat sushi? And everybody raised their hand. He goes, before 1975, none of you did. Right. So he says, changing habits can take time, but, sushi wasn't eaten before. He had a really solid answer, and you could tell it was a little bit rehearsed, but you never know what's coming for a question. So the whole thing with all these entrepreneurs is you can memorize yourself as much as possible, but that's not it. You got to really rehearse it. Now, one of the contestants I wanted to tell you real quick, John, is and this one's talking about legacy and impact. Single mother, of U.S. Army, came on stage, talked to us about her eczema that her 3-year-old had. So her son had eczema. He went to the emergency room multiple times, couldn't find any cure, and then all of a sudden she created this eczema cream that's working, and she had a solid business plan, and she was remembered more probably than the winner, because the amount of people that came up to her and the amount of things that happened afterwards was amazing. But she was there for the story and for the business as well. So, for us, the magic formula is all of this. We try to get it right. And each year it gets tougher and tougher.
You mentioned a few things that I want to kind of peel back. One is I want to go back, and because if anybody's listening who's talking about the grand prize, for folks that know pitch competitions out there, there's often a $2,500 reward, which you might get 150 or 300 contestants that just compete for this $2,500 reward. There's some national competitions that go for $10,000 and $12,000. You guys have done something special with your ability to get some phenomenal veteran-focused sponsors on who have really been super generous about committing to helping a veteran entrepreneur succeed. So can you talk a little bit about, we'll talk about the sponsors in a second. We talk about just the grand prize. I think that's probably, anybody who doesn't know anything about Veteran Shark Tank, that's probably the next question on their mind. Okay, what is the grand prize?
Yeah.
Alex? We're going to be doing a to be determined, right? Last year was $50,000, and we're getting there with a number. I think we're not going to disappoint because you're catching us like really fresh. This whole COVID threw us off a lot in planning and everything. So we want to make the announcement on our website and on social media. So if this is kind of a little teaser, it's a lot of money.
Yeah. But last year was
$50,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And obviously, right. No guarantees. COVID has changed our ability to do everything, but that was what you were able to raise last year. Ostensibly, that's the goal to achieve something in that space. So for folks that are listening, I mean, this is a game changer for a fledgling business or for somebody who could really use a lot of money to help get them off the ground.
And John, real quick before we move on, I want to do a shameless plug. The more sponsors we get, the more money we can give away. Right. Absolutely. We're not in it to make money for the Shark Tank or for GPVN or anything like that. We have a budget that we're trying to reach in order to sustain operations for our Philadelphia Veterans Network. And once we hit that, if we get more money on top of that, hey, more power to us. We'll give away second, third, fourth, fifth place prizes. So if a company wants to get involved, VeteranSharkTank.com has all the information, but it's really about if they want to see more money be given to veterans and through a 100% volunteer organization, this is it. I mean, we're putting on a show every year that, like I say, is 300 people, 5 contestants, national reach, and everybody's doing it for free. And it's an amazing thing once you start getting into the weeds of this, that there's only one person that we pay, and we pay her just because the registration process is a pain in the ass and nobody else wants to do it for free. So we actually had to outsource that. But everything else, I'm doing things. Alex is doing sponsorships, PR. You're helping out this year, some sponsorship as well. And then we have a whole host of other team members that are out there doing their role in making this a successful event.
Well, something that because I've been a product of the competition before, and I know the value, and obviously all three of us are veteran advocates. Something I think's important to mention is that if you want to help veterans and you want to help, and you're questioning, well, what's the percentage of my donation that's actually going to go to the veterans, and
it's always a question you should ask.
And does this actually help? When we talk about, and I think that's something special about the Veteran Shark Tank, is you go, well, I want to help veteran entrepreneurs, but if I throw money at this organization, do I know that it's going to help them? This is actually hard cash. It's going to not just any veteran who's just has some off the wall idea, but for a veteran who has already competed and been screened and made it through a series of qualifying competitions. So the money that goes to either the first place or one of the top 5 is going to a veteran entrepreneur who's already poised to succeed, but maybe just needs that little bit of extra infusion of cash to be the next Airbnb or to be the next Uber. And I think for sponsors, that's again, shameless plug on my part, but it's something where sponsors can feel confident that my money's going to help not just anybody, but somebody who just needs something to help tip them over the edge and can really do something special.
Yeah, so I think you both hit the nail on the head, and one of the flavors I wanted to add about kind of, again, it's hard to talk about it when you're kind of in the creation mode of it over the years, but I feel the same passion every single year is when you do things different, distinguish things different, right, is basically you try to do a formula. So most people realize that we are there for the veterans, and I say that, yes, comma, we're also there for our community. And community means we are there, the veterans are there, the rock stars are there to showcase the strength of our brand for the rest of the leadership in the civilian world. So we're doing reverse marketing. And that was the whole plan in the beginning. So I wouldn't say the words we're using veterans, but we need the veterans to be there that evening to not only award them, give them the stage, but they are there. And we tell them this. We tell them this during the journey. They are there to change the lives of and thinking of others that are in the audience. Veterans that want to create their own business, we've had some already. They feel inspired. They've told us, they've attended. Now they're opening up a business. Check. When you talk about the investment of dollars, this is what the story is, right? What is the money used for? To inspiring another generation. And then you got the companies. What can we do with our veterans? If you got the big logos there, why don't you buy from these veteran-owned companies? You got diversity and inclusion procurement. You can buy these services. We'll help you. We have big initiatives. We got bigger initiatives coming up in our community. So the language is not about, they think of veterans as hiring. We're using this as you doing business with veterans. So we're showcasing, what do you do with your dollars? We're inspiring in a whole new plethora of new veteran-owned businesses through this. And then we're also getting people to do more. And it's like a program. So most people think it's an event. I look at it as a program, because when people make changes, that means it's a program. Events are events.
I want to go back to something else we talked about earlier, and you actually just alluded to it being a program. A program is something that endures, and I think for most folks, and this is for anybody who's listening who's been in a pitch competition, whether you're a veteran or not, it's when you do a pitch competition, it's a one and done event, as you just alluded to. It's done, and that's the end of it. You guys at the beginning of this talked about the alumni network. For anybody who's ever participated in any other pitch competitions, you pitch and then you're done, and you all go on your merry way. Something you guys have done with alumni, and I think it speaks to the bonds of the veteran community. But I wonder if you can speak a little bit about the alumni and what you do to keep them engaged, because it really is something I think that's unique about Veteran Shark Tank.
Yeah, that's been a huge focus of ours, just because the alumni is really what is going to help these people after the event itself. And so if we can be the catalyst to bring all those people together and share ideas and kind of be welcomed into that brotherhood, it's huge. And it's also going to have longstanding effects on the veterans after the event. And so, we're planning on having alumni events beforehand, and also trying to get as many alumni to the event as possible.
Yeah, the strength of us is not about Joe and I. It's the strength of our community, of the executive committee, the volunteers, and all the participants behind it, and that they are the network within the success of the Veteran Shark Tank.
Stinging insect petting zoo is an idea that I had for a business. What do I need to do to refine that business to be competitive with Shark Tank?
Well, if it's the murder bee, you can't do that. Somebody just pitched it.
Murder hornet.
The murder hornet. Well, I don't care what bee it is. It's already the same. So, is it lethal, or is it just a bite?
It's just stinging. It's not.
John, I wish I could say that is the most outlandish idea that I've heard in the 4 or 5 years that I've been helping with this event, but it's not. It's the idea is. Yeah, it's if you got a business plan and you got ambition, you can get anything done. I can't even begin to respond to that one. So. Good luck with that.
Yeah, because Don, why I say it's great is because some of the businesses that come our way, we can't share them, but we wonder how they got even
to where they are. No.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I'm going to be the voice of everybody who's listening to this podcast right now. They're going, all right, you can't lob that softball up and not you got to give me a teaser. Give me some. I know you can't name names, but you got to tell me something, an idea, a concept.
No.
No. We're not going down that road. We've learned years ago not to, just to say yes. It was great.
Because you never know when that idea is going to pop, right? If you would have told me back in December that you were going to create a company that manufactured personalized face masks, I would have been like, dude, come on. And now look at it, right? So I think what COVID has taught us is that, and you just don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, it's their ideas might have seemed some a little outlandish or in left field, but the whole world could change tomorrow, and you're all of a sudden thinking, well, holy shit, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can tell you that, was it 2013? I just saw the social media post on our Veteran Shark Tank. For all the listeners out there, definitely kind of follow us on all the social media platforms. So, and I posted the picture of the 2013 winners, and in there was a doctor, a West Pointer, who did 3D imaging for before doing surgery with patients, right? He would do kind of doctor. But 2013, remember, we seem today like 3D imaging, but 2013, nobody even had heard of it right at that time. So it's really good to hear and see what's going on, and then to give the flavor. The audience loves it. They want to know. They want to know, what is it, and how did they get there?
And they have you guys have independent judges that are judges. Is that correct? Are you guys part of the judging?
No,
folks?
No. Alex and I stay out of that. We're just facilitating the event, and we. Like I said earlier, we get judges from the business community to come in and share their thoughts and their expertise. And it's a hands-off. We have a judging criteria, and once they go into deliberations and everything, they determine the winner, and all we are is delivering the message.
But even for the judging for the pre-qualifier, before you get to the finals, that you still have separate judges. So I guess So the question is, because you're not involved in the judging, what are some of the businesses that have surprised you at how well they presented? Building off of what we just talked about. You said, well, there's some out in left field that I never thought somebody would have an idea for, but yet there's crickets. Again, I was really intrigued by the cowboy cricket guy because he was really articulate about something that was totally foreign to me. What are some of those businesses, those ideas that you've seen that have made it either into the qualifier or presented at the qualifier, for whatever reason they just didn't get, they weren't the finalist in the qualifier, they didn't make the top five? What are some of those businesses that surprised you that went, wow, that guy's got great potential, we're going to see him do big things?
So two of the one at the top of the head, and I kind of want to use generalization, is you would think it would be there based on it, but there was Special Forces person about 4 or 5 years ago that had a new piece of equipment, which I thought was pretty unique, of how to do physical fitness. And we'd never had that, right? Equipment and Special Forces, but it was not good for stage. And that was the part that we were like thinking to ourselves, wait a second, it sounds like this could be QVC written all over it and everything. And I was like, it's not the person. And what I'm saying is, that's how it comes. But it doesn't happen all the time. And the other one was, a brilliant idea. I don't know where it was, what it was. It was a Silicon Valley analytics. And the hard part is, if they all look the same, you can't bunch them all the same on stage. Software, products, everybody needs to know that.
There's a little variety.
You need the variety. So we're going to disappoint a ton of people, and you can imagine they're not happy, right? So at the end, that's just the formula. You can't make them all look the same, or the audience is the one that we're kind of working for. So it was really hard, because it looked like this was a new Bitcoin analytics data something, but everybody couldn't get their hand around it. And we weren't sure if the person could MIT it a little bit looser for the stage, if that makes sense.
Probably a great idea, and somebody with a 100-pound brain could grasp it, maybe, right?
And to answer your question in a little bit more general way.
Yeah, go ahead.
To answer your question a little bit more general ways, there's a ton of products that are presented to our judges that are awesome. I mean, I believe there's innovations on top of standard items that we have, right? Better ways to clamp things to, other things, lights on ladders, and all these other things that come to mind that are great ideas and that should be, just standard household things, but why they weren't necessarily on stage, in addition to what Alex had mentioned, is sometimes they are born out of such a personal event that they have a hard time of presenting the business side of it and not the emotional side. And it's sad because that they're passionate and they're going to be successful, but they spend 7.5 minutes of their 8 minutes talking about what it meant to them and their personal journey and how emotional and everything. And then they're 30 seconds trying to get through the numbers. And it doesn't bode well for the event when you're on stage in front of a bunch of businessmen and women that just they want to know what are your numbers, what's your plan for growth, what are you going to do with the money, and now you're rushing through it. And it's just so the personal story of the passion and how they got there is part of who they are in the story, but it should be truncated and very focused. And then it should be about the business and how it's going to help somebody and how they're going to use the money and be good partners and live up to the standards of the event.
So John, if I may, just one thing that I realized this year differently, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag and then give out the secret formula of how to pitch the competition, right? I'm not even qualified for all that, but I want to tell everybody that's listening, and this is going to be a continued message year round, is there's been a history of people telling us about their company, but they didn't say anything about what they want to do with a company. It's two different messages, because a lot of people don't know what they want to do with their company. So they're afraid to share that on stage. Yeah, so what happens, it sounds like they're sharing their history. So look at it like this. We've all seen transitioning service members. This is what I did in the military. They didn't say what they wanted to do, but they said, this is what I did. So the same thing with companies, when they come up, we did this, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do this. It's very vanilla. And if everybody's out there listening, and it's going to be a continued message this year, you better come in to share what you want to do with your company. I don't care if it's taking over Philadelphia, the United States, or the world. You don't have to be that kind of scaling. You just need to do something with your business. Because if you're there just to have a business and everybody's like, wow, that's a good idea, that doesn't win.
And you'll have a comfortable lifestyle doing it, right?
Yeah, so it's not we're not looking for killer instincts or conquering the earth. Scalability, we say scalability is not the winner mentality. It is right. What is your desire to do with the business? And it lacks a lot. And most people that don't realize when they own a business, they don't have they don't have it thought in their head, and they're like, oh, I have a good idea, but I haven't thought about past this year. You can't do that in these competitions. You can't.
What the part of the excitement, and you mentioned something there that I think you're talking about in Philadelphia, and we keep talking about in Philadelphia, but it being a nationwide competition. We do, you guys are Philly based, obviously, so that's part of the reason it started there. But part of the reason it has continued to be in Philadelphia is the event kicks off and this is something I just learned that I didn't recognize the tie between it, but the event actually kicks off on Monday preceding the Army-Navy football game here in Philadelphia, right? So that's was that by design, or was that just something that happened?
Totally.
I'm sure Alex will say it was by design. No, I'm sure it was totally by design. It
was by design, and we moved towards it. Not the first 2-1, but we moved towards it, and then the Army-Navy committee embraced us about 5 years ago. And we just said, we're not going to compete. We are the first economic event for the week. Well, let's just get our economy started with the military and veterans, and then we'll drink all socially for the rest of the week until the game.
Think of it, John. I mean, it's not an opportune time to hold a veteran event like that, or any sort of event where you're asking people to show up at 5:30 for networking and possibly stay till 9:30 at night on a Monday, right? Most people got to go to work the next day. Be better on a Friday or Saturday. You could let the drinks flow and probably party all night and wake up the next morning and not really want to know what you did. But it's Monday night. and it was intentional, and it is pretty cool how it kicks off Army Navy. I'm a Naval Academy grad, so it's special to me to be able to be part of something during Army Navy Week like that, and to be the first economic event to kick off the season and watch Army lose again.
Is there, and I read this on a blog somewhere, is there a direct correlation to whoever wins the Shark Tank, whether they're Army or Navy, actually sets the tone for who's going to win the game?
Well, it's
If
kind of like
that was the case, it would always be Navy.
Yeah. It's like the World Cup. I don't know. There's like mysterious octopus they have to fish out of of an aquarium. I'm like, who in the world started this? Zeus. The first kickball game and like in the 1100s. So I have no idea. Maybe there's a correlation. I think there has not been an Air Force winner. We're hitting all the other winners. Coast Guard as well. We'll definitely include them in the family because they're qualified. We don't want to distinguish this whole Department of Defense and Homeland Security. It's service to service. So we have not had a Air Force or a Coast Guard win the event. Multitude of Army. Maybe they're the brains behind everything. We're stuck at the bar during the brains.
There's so many jokes in there. I just can't even go after them. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
There one more, before we roll, I want to ask one thing. Is like, so you talked about the fact that Coasties and Air Force haven't been winners, but this will be the 8th annual. What has been, and you guys have been involved in a long time, or been involved in this for a long time. What has grown most, or what has changed most from the very first one, or even the one just from 5-6 years ago? What has changed dramatically or most about the competition that either has changed most or that you're most proud of?
Alex, I'll let you go first since you've been with it from the beginning.
It's the journey to take risks. Joe will know this. It is, why are we changing, right? And if you think about it, it's social entrepreneurship. If we're going to be helping our own community, we got to act the part. We got to do the part. But then that is part of the experience of the Veteran Shark Tank. If we're going to tell people to do things, we're going to give prizes for things, we have to behave ourselves of taking risk and moving forward and making it better. Everybody started coming nationally. Sponsors, everybody 5-6 years ago, and we didn't realize it, and we started taking note of it, and we're like, wait a second. And then we got people all over the country pinging us 3 years ago, and then we're like, it's time. And we are very fortunate, and I apologize if we didn't mention it before. Our presenting sponsor, Comcast, has been with us for a number of years. They've been fabulous helping with the veteran community nationally, and we are there with them locally and nationally as well. And they understand the journey we take. They love to for veterans to succeed just in any sort of business or hiring role. So we are a great complement to one another as we do this journey. Are we going to have flaws along the way? Absolutely. Are we going to be veterans and mention our flaws? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, we are changing. The first one was $25 a ticket, and we were in the hole. We give out $5,000 and we lost money. So like any other business, we lost money in the beginning.
So I'll give you my take on that too, John, just because I joined probably 4 or 5 years ago now. So what I'm most proud of is the first 2 events that we had where I was involved with it. We had fire alarms go off right in the middle of it, and I've been able to stop that tradition. And so that I'm proud of. But no, seriously, what I think has changed. Yeah, I think what has changed most from when I was involved is the size of the audience has gotten to a nice size. We started out with a couple hundred, and now we're capping it at around 300 every year. We don't want it to get to be like a gala where we have 900 people in a room and they're disinterested in the actual approach. We want it to be this event where people are there and they want to see the results. And so that's why we cap it at about 300. But just because we cap it at 300 doesn't mean that the event itself hasn't been refined and improved upon. And so I think what you'll see say, if you take a snapshot of each year, is just the level of dedication of the team that's been brought together to support these veterans, and the community has gotten better each year. And we keep bringing on new people that bring new ideas. And Alex has no shortage of new ideas, and him and I often go at it pretty fiercely, right, Alex? I mean, we've had some go arounds. And, he mentioned QVC about 47 times today, and we've had conversations on that. But it's all in the spirit of wanting to do the right thing for the event. And just because him and I maybe disagree on one or two things, we agree on 98% of the rest of it. And the overdriving thing is to make it a high quality event where people are looking forward to it each year, and they're also looking forward to being in the same room with some of these top-notch individuals that are on stage pitching.
John, I want to kind of layer in, and Joe didn't appreciate this because it was like the first year he did his first year, then like I had to bring him in on stage, right? And it was the journey, and he can tell you that he was behind the scenes guy, he always said, and then he got on stage. But what the first one we did in the city, I feel like we're gonna go back to a place that needs a second revisit. I don't know if you heard the story, John. We did one at the Shark Tank in the aquarium where we raised the curtain and all the sharks were there during the event. I don't know if you ever heard of that one.
Real sharks.
Yeah. It was cool, visual cool. It was just like, we need to revisit that one. But the whole point is that was his first one. But the second one, I brought him up, and I know he's probably gonna be bashful or something like that. But I mentioned, because of his background, because of both your backgrounds, I said, to run these types of events, to run high caliber types of events that make it like wow, is special forces of volunteering. And I mentioned that to the audience when I introduced Joe on bringing Joe back on stage. I said, it is really Joe. So the mentality of our volunteers, if you think about it, my wife always was good at this. It's like, you don't want volunteers. You want the best of the best. You need to poach them. So you got to recruit people that are already working somewhere else, just like companies. So that's the mindset that we have for this organization. So it's not about, it's not about me. It's about Joe and everybody else. Because when you ask and demand each other for success based on passion, those are the results.
Last question. Christmas lights that you leave up year round, but then instead of passing electricity, they pass water and they become a sprinkler system for your hedges.
Pretty close. We've had one similar. Yeah. No, I think that one has legs, John, because who likes taking down Christmas lights, right?
All right, I might be honest. Yeah, and
why don't you do this? And I'm going to patent this one: a tree that grows Christmas lights. Wow. Hey, why not?
You heard it here first, folks. Right here on the Greencastle podcast. Hey, before we close out, so for veterans that are working for companies and saying, hey, you know what, we're looking for a cause to get behind. We want to help veteran entrepreneurs. For companies that are looking to help. That are fans or advocates for veterans and veteran assistance programs, or for veteran entrepreneurs that are out there, everybody can go to veteransharktank.com and find your resources there. Is that correct?
Correct. All of it's going to be updated in June. We'll have all the information kind of ready out for the applicants. The sponsorship's already out there. Here's the great news. When people finished the last year, they're in it for this year. So we are limited. So we are limited for sponsorship, and it's amazing to be that way. But like Joe said, we want people that want to be there. We don't look for people that we appreciate the donation, but we want the commitment for doing more with veterans. That's not what we're looking for. Donation's great, but we want commitment behind that as well.
Right.
That's awesome. All right, guys. Hey, thanks very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing the next contestants this coming year. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Greencastle Podcast. Please be sure to give us a like, a thumbs up, a share. You can find us at greencastleconsulting.com/podcast or on all the major podcast channels and the social media channels, including our YouTube channel. Thanks very much. We'll see you on the next episode.